A very common challenge that's brought forward in one-on-one performance coaching sessions, or for those students part of my 12-week challenge, is that they find themselves overthinking a lot of the times as traders. And they make irrational, emotional decisions out of fear, out of greed, as opposed to rational decisions based on what they know they should be doing as a trader. And in this particular video, I wanted to share my theories on how you can actually stop overthinking as a trader and start building consistent results. Now, for those of you who are first time checking into the channel, first and foremost, welcome. My name is Bailouni, and I'm the founder of Master Your Trading Mindset, which is an education and performance coaching business. And we help retail traders break through the mental patterns that hold them back from consistency and funding. And we give them the tools, the education, the understanding to deal with all the psychological challenges they face and to start building consistent results and to gain funding. Now, if you haven't already gotten a copy of our free Bulletproof Your Mindset tool, jump in the description below and grab a copy. There are only 30 copies going out per week, so ensure you've already got a copy and you have that and you start using that. That's been used by traders all around the world, and it's helping them lower their emotions in the market and helping them gain consistency in their results. Now, when we talk about overthinking as a trader, I know throughout my 6-year journey as a trader, I can pinpoint the times where I started to overthink significantly and I started to trade highly emotionally. And when I go back and have a look at those moments in my trading career, what's very clear to me is that the times I was overthinking most or making the most irrational decisions that ultimately led to the most painful losses were the times that I, one, didn't have a clear trading plan or a clear strategy or a clear plan laid out, or two, I had that but I wasn't sticking to it. So the first thing that I suggest to every trader that finds himself overthinking or making irrational decisions in the market is they need to go back to their processes, they need to go back to their plan, they need to go back to their preparation and routines to ensure all those things are tidied up. Because what I've seen after working with hundreds and hundreds of traders is that overthinking is a symptom of not having a clear strategy and a clear plan for that particular trade. So there are a few tips I can give right off the bat that would help immensely to stop overthinking as a trader and to start making more process-based, rational decisions. And the first tip here is that your strategy needs to be clearly laid out and very specific in a trading plan. You need to know what your entries look like, you need to know what areas of value you're looking for on the higher time frames, and then you need to know what specifically the entry criteria is, what the 1, 2, 3, 4 things you look at before you place the entry on the lower time frames. That part of your entry needs to be clearly and specifically outlined in a plan. And then you need to be very clear on your management style. Where do you, or when do you trail to break even? Where do you put your initial stop loss? Where do you take partials, or where do you take fulls, or how do you trail your stop? All these things need to be laid out and clear in some sort of a plan, some sort of a formula, some sort of a strategy, because that gives you your foundation and your basis to work off. And then one step further on top of that, this is tip number 2, every day before you go off and execute in the markets, you need to have planned specifically what you're looking for and how you're going to go about executing it. You may not just have one way of execution, you may have multiple different ways you execute depending on how the market moves. So that allows you to be fluid with what the market decides to do. But if you do those two things, if you've got a clearly outlined trading plan and you know exactly your entries, your exits, and your management, then on top of that, you know exactly how you're going to execute that position if it aligns with your criteria that day, you have a clear strategy, you have a clear game plan there. A lot of the overthinking doesn't exist anymore. Because remember, overthinking is a symptom of not having a clear plan and a clear strategy. The overthinking comes when you're uncertain and unsure from not preparing and not having those preparations in place. So if you plan, if you prepare, if you have a clear outline strategy and a clear outline plan, then you're going to significantly lower the probability of overthinking. You're going to significantly increase the probability of making rational decisions in alignment with your plan. And as a result, you can expect more consistent, more profitable results. And you hear me talk about this a lot. A lot of the times comes back to having clear processes, a clear trading plan, and a clear strategy. That's really the foundation of a great trader. But then on top of that, I mentioned before that overthinking can come from not having a clear strategy, a clear plan. Overthinking can also come from not sticking to that clear strategy and clear plan. So once you've tidied up your plan, you've tidied up your routines, you know exactly how it looks like before getting into that position, the second thing I would be focusing on and being aware of are your expectations going into that position. Because a lot of our irrational decision making that pulls us away from our trading plan comes from the expectations that we impose on the market before getting into that position. If we're looking at Eurodollar, for example, to sell off, and we have an expectation that it has to go down quickly, it has to go down a certain percentage and hit our take profit, these are all unrealistic expectations and fantasies we're creating in our head, and the market doesn't have to do anything. The market's going to do whatever it wants to do. So if we create these fantasies and expectations in our mind and we start projecting them onto the market, we become blinded to what the market's trying to communicate to us, and we live in this little fantasy land about what we think is going to happen. So I've made plenty of videos on how to manage your expectation. The Bulletproof Your Mindset tool is all about that. I talk about this in detail in the 12-week challenge as well. So what I suggest is go back to your processes and make them clear and plan and prepare. That will mitigate overthinking. Then also be aware of your expectations prior to getting into the position. Make sure you don't have any expectations on the outcome of a position, and your expectations are fully focused on, does this trade align with my processes? And that pushes you more into the process-based decision making as opposed to the outcome-based decision making. So if you're overthinking a lot, if you're getting caught up just before you enter because your brain becomes very cloudy and the chimp starts to take over and make irrational decisions last minute, two things. Go back to your processes, your routines, your trading plan. Ensure those are crystal clear and tidy. We talk about this in detail in the 12-week challenge in week 4. We dedicate that whole week to ensuring the processes, the routines, the trading plan is all intact. And then go in there and be aware of your expectations. Ensure your expectations are aligned, realistic, and process-based. And what that will allow you to do is it will allow you to remove those emotional strings of greed that pull you in the market into things like FOMO, into things like irrational decision making. And we talk immensely in detail on that in the 12-week challenge, week 5 and 6. And I give you my principles and theories on that. So 2 things from today's video: be aware of your processes, routines, trading plan, and your expectations. And if you want to take this a step deeper, if you resonate with this particular concept, these ideas, and you're finding yourself having a lot of challenges in the market, or you want to level up your trading and gain consistency, gain funding, check out the 12-week challenge. It will be extremely valuable to you.